My name's Rae Ann. My husband and I, we have 2 daughters. We have 3 grandchildren. I retired 3 years ago from a financial institution. I worked there for 38 years. And my husband and I lived in London and decided to build our dream home in St. Thomas. So we moved here in the fall. And so, you weren't doing a lot of planting, it was more planning. What were we doing? Then you read, go to garden centers, and you start planting, and I like making it look pretty. Life was ticking along, and we were having a great time, our first year gardening. And I'll never forget the day. It was August 13th, and I was sitting in front of the computer, and all of a sudden, something just felt off, strange. And I picked my hand up, and I felt a lump. Very suddenly, there it was. And when I felt it, I can remember it was like time stood still, and I didn't want it to be real, and I didn't want to touch it again, and I just didn't want that to happen. But I knew you can't ignore this. This is something that has to be dealt with. So I called Glenn in from outside, told him what happened, and I called my doctor's office, and she got me in that afternoon. She could come right in. So I did, and then she booked me for a mammogram, 4 o'clock that day, in. And it's terrifying, I have to say. My husband was with me the whole time. He was my rock. He's picking me up, putting me back together, basically, because it's such a shock when something like that happens to you. So the tests came back, and they said, yes, it's positive, and you have to have a mastectomy. And we went to the hospital, and from the minute we walked in, we were just looked after and just went tickety-boo. I was back home on the same day at 1:30 in my bed. 3 days later, I was in the shower, did my hair, and we went to visit my mother-in-law at the retirement home because she was full of worry. And I never really looked back from there. I just decided that, okay, forget all this worry and concern, and you can't afford to be a pessimist. You have to look at the bright side. And I just have, and I've just put one foot in front of the other, and I said I'm going to do everything they tell me to do, and I have. And it was Dr. Vandenberg that put the seed in to, offer treatment in St. Thomas, that he knew Dr. Donahue in St. Thomas, and it's the same treatment, at each hospital. And I actually, to be truthful, was more inclined to say, no, I'll come to London. But it was my husband, practical I call him. It's practical and pretty, that's who we are. Anyway, Glenn said, no, we'll go to St. Thomas. So the decision was kind of made before I really had time to think about it. I can remember the first day, going into St. Thomas. I didn't know anybody. I was really anxious, Chemo is a very scary word. But I have to tell you, they, from the minute you walked in the door and started to meet people in there, everybody was so caring and so wonderful. I've actually had the same nurse each time I've had chemo, and she's like a girlfriend to me now. We know about each other's families, we know about each other's hobbies, the cooking, the recipes, and she's warm and lovely. And for me, it's just made such a difference to me. I have no anxiety. When I know the treatment day is coming up, there's absolutely no anxiety because the trust that I have in the doctor, my doctor, and my nurse, Janice. If I do encounter a problem or I'm having difficulty when I get back home or the next day, I can call them. If they're busy, I know they'll call me back. There's a real trust there that I place in them. I think that when you go through something like this in your life, it just grabs you. It really does. And it takes you and it shakes you up for a bit. And what it does is it makes you look at life differently. The little things that you used to worry about are all of a sudden gone, right? You take more joy in your day. You watch the birds. You look forward to planting flowers again. When the grandkids come and there's peanut butter on the windows, look at their little handprints. You know, I mean, it just, your life changes. That's the biggest thing I can say. It's not always all bad. I mean, certainly it's serious, but for me, it's having the care close to home is what's made the difference for me. I can see positive things. I've reconnected with old colleagues through this. We had some commonalities. I found out they had gone through this. I had not known that. So, and I've had family, cousins, you know, that you may not have talked to until there's a wedding or a family reunion. Now they pick up the phone. So it just has that way of coming into your life, and if you let the positives come out, they will. For me, it's happened. So I can't say, poor me. I can say, this has happened to me, and I just can't wait to get on with my life.